Being able to orgasm alone, not with a partner, is one of the most common questions that people ask me about, and it almost never means what people fear it means. It doesn't mean that your body is broken, nor does it mean that you're not attracted to your partner or that you've somehow trained yourself out of being able to feel pleasure with another person. Today, we are going to talk about what's going on inside you and what you can do about it. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. And if you're new here, I am Cindy Darnell, sex and relationship therapist, working with all kinds of people in all kinds of relationship configurations all over the world. And this channel is where we have the conversations that many of us have in our heads, but not out loud. Here, we talk about relationships, desire, intimacy, connection, friendships, emotions, grief, and what gets in the way. And if that's what you're here for, you're in the right place. So let's get into it. Being able to orgasm alone and not with a partner is a very common problem that many of us fear to talk about. You worry that your body is broken, or that you're not attracted to your partner anymore, or that through solo activities and porn use, you've trained yourself out of being able to feel pleasure with another person. And most of us were taught to think about orgasm like a vending machine, that you put the right stimulation in and then you wait and the orgasm comes out. But if that were actually how sex worked, anyone getting the right kind of touch would climax every single time. And you know already that this is not true. You can be getting the exact right stimulation from someone that you're genuinely attracted to and you're fully aroused, and you're still not going to get there because the missing piece isn't in the mechanics. It is in your brain. So when you're alone, your brain has almost nothing to manage except sensation. You already know what you like, and you can control the pressure and the pace and the position and the pictures in your head and the timing and all of it. There's no one to explain yourself to. There's no one's reaction that you're checking, and there's no performance to keep track of. So your attention gets to stay inside your own body because nothing is pulling it anywhere else. But when we bring another person into the room, your nervous system immediately takes on a second job, because underneath the pleasure, part of you starts tracking the other person. Do I look okay like this? Are they into this? Am I into this? Am I taking too long? Should I say what I actually want, or is that too much to ask for? What happens if I don't come? What happens if they take that personally? And none of this is small, because it's running a calculation which is happening at the same time as the sex itself, and every bit of the attention spent on managing that is attention that isn't available for feeling yourself. Now, this is a problem that affects people of all genders, which we'll explore more in this video. But for a minute, let's just break this down further and look at how this impacts women in heterosexual partnerships in particular, as they are the most likely to experience orgasm difficulties with a partner, and there's actually a stack of research on this called the orgasm gap. I'm going to put the link to some of that research in the description below if you want to go and read it for yourself. And it looks at how often men and women reach orgasm in partnered sex, even though men are impacted by this problem too. Yes, they are. In hetero contexts, men generally come out ahead by a pretty wide margin, meaning that men having sex with women are much more likely to orgasm in partnered sex than women are. And so this is what creates the orgasm gap that researchers are talking about. But this gap narrows a lot in lesbian relationships, and the women's bodies involved are the same as the women's bodies involved in the hetero relationships. So what's usually different, and this is extremely important, is that the script people are following is different. In a lot of heterosexual sex, sex tends to still run on the idea of penetration as the main event, the thing that everything else leads up to. But sex between women more often includes a wider range of activities, touch, and more direct communication about what feels good, and less pressure to move through a fixed sequence of activities towards a particular ending. And so the orgasm gap isn't proof that women's bodies are complicated or harder to please, because that's not true. But it is a pretty clear sign that the setup around sex and what you're doing matters as much as the sex itself. Now, none of this means that men have it easy. A man can masturbate to orgasm without any trouble and then lose his erection or struggle to finish when he's with a partner. And the usual assumption is that he must not be that attracted to his partner. But most of the time, that's not what it is. Most of the time, he's carrying a full list of jobs in his head. Stay hard. Don't finish too fast. Don't take too long either. Make sure he's satisfied or make sure she's satisfied. Look like you know exactly what you're doing. That is the same shift in attention happening again. It's attention pulled away from sensation in the body and onto a performance or a fixed outcome of how a man is supposed to be during sex. Now, for all people, regardless of gender, underneath a lot of this is shame. And shame doesn't just make sex feel bad, but it changes where your attention is going and what you're doing while it's happening. This has a lot to do with your nervous system and how it's managing the vibes in the room and the degree to which you can relax and tolerate your feelings and your emotions and your sensations. So instead of asking, what am I feeling or what am I noticing, shame has you asking, how am I coming across? Am I normal? Am I too much? Am I not enough? Your body can still be receiving plenty of stimulation while your mind has quietly switched jobs from feeling to monitoring and assessing. And orgasm doesn't tend to show up for a mind that is busy watching itself. Think about the difference between dancing alone in your kitchen and dancing in front of judges. Your body is the same, but it's a completely different nervous system response because the context is so dramatically different. Our bodies respond similarly. The activities can be almost identical, but deep within our nervous systems, we feel as if we are not safe, even though we know logically we're totally safe with this person. So if stimulation alone was never the whole answer, the actual skill worth building here is staying with sensation once you have it, meaning developing the tools to calm your nervous system while also managing your arousal. And the good news is that this is completely trainable, the same way that any attention skill is trainable. You don't need it to happen during sex first, but you can develop it just lying on your bed with nothing sexual going on at all and just picking one sensation, for example, the warmth in your chest or the weight of your body against the mattress or your breath moving through your nose and staying with it, just tracking it. Now you'll notice that your mind will wander off within seconds, and this is not a failure, it's just what our minds do. But the practice is noticing that your mind wandered and then bringing it back over and over. And if you practice this for a couple of minutes a day, the same way you'd build any other muscle, you'll notice that your attention gets stronger and stronger. I actually have an online course specifically for folks interested in developing these skills in an erotic context. It's called 30 Days of Amazing Sex, and I'll link it below. It's a fantastic program for anyone interested in developing the skills they need to create nervous system calmness while also increasing their sexual confidence at the same time. Now let's try another additional practice. Once you're familiar with noticing your body, you can bring touch into the experience. And the type of touch that tends to work here is slow and unhurried touch, nothing that's racing towards a finish line, just enough to notice what's there. So as you're touching yourself, I'll just try it here on my chest to demonstrate. Every so often, stop moving your hand and ask yourself, what is the strongest sensation I can feel right now? Is it warmth? Is it pressure? Is it tingling? Is it something spreading or something that's staying in one place? And then when you have a sense of what that sensation is, I want to invite you to send your breath into wherever that sensation is. Breathe in and then exhale, longer than the inhale. And let your jaw soften, let your belly soften, and then continue with the slow touch, whatever it was you were doing. You can choose parts of the body that are pretty safe, chest, arms, legs, or you can also do this with your genitals. And what most people discover by doing this is that they've often been treating sexual arousal like a staircase, and that they get more turned on and get more turned on and get more turned on, and then, they climax. Which is fine, but to create sustained pleasure and orgasm, especially with a partner, the practice isn't like a staircase. Instead, it's closer to riding a wave, rising and spreading and sometimes dipping before it rises again, changing shape the whole way through. And so in this context, chasing the top step is a really different activity than tracking the wave, and only one of these approaches reliably gets you to where you want to go, and it's usually not the approach that you see in porn. Practicing nervous system regulation tools during masturbation and partnered sex helps bring you back into the room with someone else, because you cannot override an anxious and worried nervous system by just trying harder. You've already tried that and you know it doesn't work. And there's a single question that changes the entire shape of partnered sex, and it's the one you swap in for, am I going to come? Instead of that, you ask, what is the most noticeable sensation in my body right now? Because one question is future-oriented and it's judging you the whole time, and the other one just wants to know what's true for you right now. And pressure lives in the first question, attention in the second, and only one of them is going to get you where you want to go, both alone and together. And this is also where erotic connection and attunement actually starts. Not just with a script about what to say, but it's actually with having something real to say in the first place. Because if you're not tracking your own body, then you don't have reliable information to give to your partner about what's going on. And your body is giving you feedback constantly. The only question is whether you're connected enough to receive that information. And here's the part that trips almost everyone over. The more urgently that you think you need to orgasm, the less likely it is to happen. You know this. Pressure is really the worst foreplay, the worst environment you could build for trying to have an orgasm in any sexual context, but especially partnered sex, because you can't order it into existence. You can only build the conditions that make it more possible and stay out of its way while it decides whether it's coming. So if you can get there alone, but you go quiet with somebody else, it is never a question of what's wrong with you. It's always much more important to shift your attention to what's happening right now. Is your attention in your body, or is it out managing how you look, whether they're enjoying themselves or whether you're taking too long? Because our attention isn't fixed. It is a skill, which means it's also something that you get to practice and get better at for the rest of your life. I hope this has been a helpful introduction to understanding how orgasms work with a partner. And if you're interested in going further, remember to check out my online course, 30 Days of Amazing Sex, designed to teach you to relax your body enough that you can feel like you're having vacation sex every day of your life by simply learning to tune into both arousal and relaxation at the very same time. And let me know what you thought of this video in the comments below. And of course, like and share my content, subscribe, as that teaches the algorithm that this information is important and worth knowing. As always, thanks for joining me here, and remember to check out the links in the description, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.